How's it going? Kevin Cleary here with another knife video for you. This is the Gerber DMF manual folder. It does also come in a auto version, but since we're in Canada, that would be illegal. And probably for many of you in various states, I know that's illegal as well to have an auto knife. For those of you who it's not, probably similar properties, especially when I talk about the handle. I don't know if the blade is the same material. Hopefully not, for your sake. If you get this knife in an auto version with a better blade, you would be better off. So let's get into some of the specs on the knife. I'm going to warn you that I'm going to go back and forth in terms of some things are good about this knife, some things are bad about this knife, and I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm just going to let you know how I feel about it, and you can make your own decision. Maybe go pick one up and get one in hand and play with it a little bit, and you can figure it out for yourself. But I can tell you right now, this is not going to be a rousingly positive review on every respect. There are some things I love about this, and there are some things that I think just were fails on the part of Gerber. So, size and weight. Already we're going to get into one of the negative sides. This is an 8.5 inch knife. This handle is 5 inches long, and the blade is only 3.5 inches long. I feel like that stinks. Why? If you've got a handle, this is a huge handle. It's almost as big as my Recon 1 handle, which is a big handle, and yet the blade is only 3.5 inches. Why? You could have really done better on that blade to handle ratio. If it's only going to be a 3.5 inch blade, then this handle could be like 4 inches long and weigh a fraction of what it weighs. So that's my first complaint. The next thing is the handle size. It's very thick, a good 5/8 of an inch thick, fully lined, and this knife is very heavy at 6.2 ounces. So again, I don't mind carrying a heavy knife if that extra weight is justified in some way. So this knife weighs 6.2 ounces. I have other knives that come close to that 6 ounce mark, and so okay, good. If I'm going to have to carry that extra weight and I'm going to have that extra heavy, good, big size, heavy weight in my pocket, what am I getting? What is the benefit of that extra size and weight? And as far as I can tell, the benefit is nothing. So if you're thinking about this knife, well, get this one, right? It's still got G10 handles. It's still got the axis lock. It's still very grippy, and yet it weighs much less, has better steel, and costs less. So back to the Gerber. I'm going to be making some of those comments as we move along, and I talk specifically about some of the things that I feel like needed to be better. I'm going to start with the blade. The blade is an area that I'm really disappointed in. One, it needs to be bigger. In a handle this size, there's no way. I've got a 5 inch handle here. This blade should be at least 4 inches long. So that's my first complaint, is the blade to handle ratio stinks on this knife. The next thing is the blade itself is 420HC steel. That's a crappy steel. Now, what doesn't make sense about that? Like, I would expect to see 420 in like a $10 Walmart special, or hanging on the profit strip at Lowe's, but I don't expect to see it in a knife that has taken steps to be a good quality blade. And when I get to the handle, I'm going to talk about a lot of those things that are really, really good, where Gerber clearly did some extra work and paid some special time and attention to making it a high quality knife. So why not use high quality steel? Don't get it. Next is the fit and finish. This is obviously a Tanto style blade. It is a partial hollow grind. It's got the swedge on top and kind of this downward sweeping shape to it. But the Tanto grind, the plain edge part, is horrible. Look at it. It's not consistent. It's not straight. It's all over the place. This secondary tip, which should be perfectly pointed and precise, is kind of rounded and horrible. So the grind on this blade is not good, and that, as far as I'm concerned, is unacceptable, especially if in a blade that leans toward a higher quality knife. And we'll talk about some of those features as we move through the knife. The next thing that I want to complain about is how far they extended the edge. As you can see, the grind on the blade continues a good 1/4 of an inch or more past the actual cutting edge. Why? Like, whose bright idea was it to not sharpen the whole blade? Again, not acceptable. Like, Gerber really, really blew it when it came to this blade. It needed to be bigger, it needed to be better quality, closer, better attention to fit and finish, and sharpen the whole thing. So those are all the complaints that I have about that portion of the knife. Moving on to the handle. Now, it is deployed via thumb stud. Very, very smooth, very fast deployment if needed, either via the thumb stud or just by actuating that axis lock. So deployment is good. Ergonomics is good to even great. Let's start moving into the handle and point out it is torque spit construction, so you can easily make adjustments to the strength of that pivot. It's Gerber's wedge lock, which is actually a really strong, really good quality lock. Again, so you've got this strong, high quality lock. Why bother? Right? Why bother making some components high quality, high tolerance, good fit and finish, and then others you don't even pay attention to? That's why I'm a little frustrated with this knife. It has so many things that make me want to love it, and then you go, but why? Anyway, so carrying on, the handle is an awesome handle. This would be a great bushcraft, tactical, self-defense blade because this super tough, super grippy handle just excels in those things. Good strong lockup, very grippy, very comfortable G10. Why bother using G10? You may as well just put, plastic on here if you're gonna put this blade in this knife. Great finger choil at the front. You're never going to push up on this blade. I mean, I'm not going to do it for you, but you could easily push on something really hard and not have any issues at all. The lockup is excellent. The handle size and shape is excellent. The lanyard hole is excellent. This steel pommel is great. Whether it be bashing nuts out in the woods for survival tasks, whether it be bashing heads in a defensive situation, or whether it be bashing out a window to get out of a burning building or a car that's flipped over. Lots of awesome stuff on the handle of this knife. Pocket clip. Now I want you to pay special attention to this because this says to me, we're going for a high quality, good fit and finish blade. So on this pocket clip, you can see that they didn't just put a couple screws in here and screw it on. They actually recessed the G10 so this would fit into a recessed hole, and the back of the pocket clip would be flush with the handle. That's a lot of time and effort. Not only that, but look on the other side. So the recess for left side tip-up carry is actually filled in with this little steel plate and a couple of screws. Again, that says attention to detail. That says quality. That says we're thinking about and caring about how this thing finishes off overall. And so what I'm left to wonder is, why did you bother? On a blade like this that shows that little concern for fit and finish and quality and overall design, why pay that much attention to a pocket clip? So this knife just makes me sit here and go, I do not get what Gerber was trying to achieve. They market this as a tactical blade. And I like tactical blades. I like the fact they do really strong lockups, really grippy handles. And those features that make a knife tactical also make them really useful for all kinds of different tasks. And so, I lean toward tactical knives, just like I lean toward sort of tactical military style firearms, because those elements that they add actually make them better for hunting or target shooting or other things that you may want to do with your gun. The same is true of knives. A lot of features that they add to make a knife tactical make them more practical. So I like that. Now, the problem is, why did you give me this crappy blade? Now, I'm going to make one last comment, and I'll maybe do a follow-up or put a comment in here. I'm going to try to fix this. I've got a couple of friends who have a better quality grinder with a vise that I can get a good straight grind, and I'm going to try to straighten out this grind and make it look the way it was supposed to have looked from the company, and I'll let you know how I make out with that. But here's my overall take on this knife. This knife is going in such a great direction. They did so many things right. The lock is fantastic. The pivot is fantastic. The handle is super ergonomic. The pocket clip is well done. The lanyard hole is well done. The pommel is well done. Even choosing to make a black finished blade is a good choice. And the thumb studs are comfortable and easy to get a hold of. It's easy to deploy. But then as you move toward this part of the blade, you've got serrations that aren't much good. They're okay, and these bigger sections are certainly more useful than the rest. But then you come to a secondary tip on the Tanto blade that's not sharp. That's not a pointed tip, which limits now the very thing you buy a Tanto knife for, that secondary tip and that usefulness of it. You've got a primary tip that the grind leading up to it is not very good. You've got a steel that's not very high quality. And so this knife is a real dichotomy. It's like we want to make this super good, really awesome knife, but then we're going to fail in this one component. So that's my overall impression of the Gerber DMF folder. I may try to make some changes. I may even write to Gerber and ask them, can you send me another blade that's well done, and see if that makes a difference. So I'll follow up on this knife, but as it stands now, I think this knife has a lot of great features. It's just that those great features aren't followed up with a blade that is of equal quality to the rest of the knife. So there you go. That's my rant. I was a little disappointed. I was kind of excited about this knife when it came. I got it open and started playing with it, and I'm like, what is with this blade? So I'm over that. It's been a few days. I have used it. It's been useful. There's no question. It's a useful knife. It doesn't hold an edge as well as it should, or as well as I'd like it to. The blade's smaller than I'd like it to be. I would like to have more plain edge available for cutting. But there you go. That's my take on the Gerber DMF. Hopefully, if you get one, you won't be quite as disappointed. Maybe mine is just a one-off that just didn't work out that well. But I'm just warning you. I feel like for that size and that weight and that cost, there are much better knives available to you. And in fact, there are much cheaper knives. Here's a Gonzo 710, which is also has a video on this channel, which is actually a pretty good knife for its $27 price tag, that I think beats this more expensive knife, closer to a $50 price tag, in a whole lot of categories. And of course, once you get to that $50 mark, now you're getting into Cold Steel Recon 1 and some knives like that really exceed what the Gerber is able to do. So there you go. I've got to say, if you're wanting to spend that money on a tactical blade, there are better options out there in the price range. That's my take on the Gerber DMF manual folder. Sorry to be negative about it, but every once in a while, a knife comes along that I'm not that crazy about and feel like I want to pass that along. We'll talk to you later, YouTube.